Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. As you know, we are discussing why democracy. It is chapter 5 and the textbook is on democracy. Who is the author? Robert Dahl. So Robert Dahl starts discussion saying, why should we choose to support democracy? Why should we support democracy? Specifically, why is democracy the best way to run the whole country? Remember, a country's government is very unique. Robert Dahl says a country's government is very unique. It has an amazing power to make everyone follow its rules. It can, it has an amazing power to make everyone, it can force the citizens to follow its law, to follow its rules. The government can use force, the government can use threats, or even it can use violence to get people to obey. To get people to obey. So, are there any better ways to govern a country? Are there any better ways to govern, to run a country? Until very recently, almost everyone on earth had to live under undemocratic rulers. Undemocratic rulers. These rulers often tried to make their system sound fair. These rulers often tried to make their system sound fair. Uh, that the people think that the rulers are honest. They are working for the good of the people. They are not serving their own interest. They are not doing injustice. It is called fairness. It is called fairness. So all the rulers, they want that people believe that their rule is fair, their rule is just. Whether in reality they are just or fair or not, that is a separate thing. But they want the people to think, to believe that these rulers are fair. They used a very old excuse. The rulers used a very old excuse. What was the excuse? Most regular people are simply not smart enough to run the government. The rulers who were not democratic, the rulers who were not elected, who were not democratic, so they had an excuse that most people, common people, are simply not smart enough to run the government. Many people, most of the people, they cannot rule. This was the excuse. The unelected, the undemocratic rulers had this excuse that majority of the people they cannot rule. They don't have the capacity or the ability to rule. They said that citizens would be better off if they just let wiser people rule. They, they said that citizens would be better off. It will be good for the citizens if they just let wiser people rule. Wiser people, those who are more capable, more knowledgeable, if they rule, it is. So they said it was their argument. It is the argument of the unelected rulers. It is the argument of the undemocratic rulers. This wise group was often a small handful of people, or sometimes just one leader, or sometimes just one leader. But good arguments were not enough to keep control. These were the good arguments, but these good arguments were not enough to keep control. People, obviously, people were not happy with their rule. When arguments failed, they started using force to make people obey. When arguments failed and people were not happy, the rulers started using force, power, to make people obey. Most citizens never actually agreed to be ruled by these self-appointed leaders. Most people did not like their rule because they were unelected, because they were undemocratic. They were simply forced to follow the rules. Most people were simply compelled to follow the rules of the rulers. Even today, this old way of thinking and ruling is still around. This old way of thinking, some people still think this way. The big fight is still going on. The big fight, the, the argument, the conflict of arguments is still continues. Who should govern? The one, the few, or many? Who should govern? This is the basis of the whole argument. Who should govern? There should be one ruler, or there should be a few rulers, or there should be many rulers. Many should rule, or few should rule, or one person should rule. In fact, this point is related to self-rule. I explained you self-rule before. What is self-rule? Can anyone explain? Self-rule. The argument of self-rule is, the philosophy of self-rule is that no one has the right to rule anybody else. Repeat with me. No one has the right to rule anybody else. This is the philosophy of the self-rule. Only oneself has the right to rule oneself. Okay? No one has the rule to rule on me. Only me. It's only me who can rule myself. No one else has the right. Similarly, all of you. No one else has the right to rule on you. Only you yourself. You yourself have the right to rule on yourself. This is the basic argument, basic philosophy of self-rule. But there is a problem with this. What is the problem? What is the problem? The problem is, if everyone rules everyone himself or herself, then there will be no order. Then there will be no order. There will be no discipline. There will be conflicts. There will be chaos. Okay? There will be chaos. So, in order to have some order and peace and stability in the society, people gathered and they talked to each other and they made some rules. They made some laws that I will not harm you, you will not harm me. Everyone said to each other, okay, we will act upon certain rules and laws so that we have peace, so that we have stability. Okay, so this is how self-rule and the governmental authority, they are linked. They are linked. So basically, the democratic philosophy is based on the idea of self-rule. So people, they since they could not have peace without having some governmental authority, without having some government, so they established a government for themselves. So it is still self-rule. It is still self-rule because people themselves have formed a government. And that government is required to make laws which are in the interest of the people, which are in the interest of the people. So this is self-rule. So if anybody is not elected, or if a ruler is imposed, has usurped power by force, so it is not in the interest of the people. People do not like him or her. So the big fight is still going on. Who should govern? The one, the few, or the many? So out of these three categories, in democracy, who rules? One, few, or many? Many. In democracy, many. Majority rules. Many means majority. Many means majority. Words about words. Robert Dahl says, when I use the word democracy here, I mean real life governments. I mean real life governments. I am not talking about a perfect dream version of government. I'm not talking about a perfect government. I am talking about the actual real life governments. And they, obviously, they are not perfect. They have shortcomings, they have weaknesses, they have problems. These real democracies meet most of the requirements, but not every single one. These real democracies, democratic governments, they meet most of the requirements, but not every single requirement. They do not meet every single democratic requirement, but they meet most of the requirements. Sometimes I also say popular government. Sometimes I also say popular government. Robert Dahl is telling. This is a broader term that covers more types of ruling systems. Popular governments. It is a broader term. Popular governments is a broader term that covers most types of ruling systems. It includes the modern democratic countries we have today. The popular governments, this term includes the modern democratic countries we have today. It also includes older systems that were democratic in many ways. It also includes older systems. The term popular government. The only problem with those older systems was that many adults were not allowed to vote or take part in politics. In old democracies, there was no universal franchise. All adults were not allowed to participate in politics. We see so much history of different kinds of rule. There is so much history of different kinds of governments. But why should we still think democracy is best? This is the main question. Why should we think that democracy is the best form of government? Robert Dahl says, I will count the reasons why we should choose it. Now he will count the reasons. He will mention the reasons why we should choose democracy. When we compare democracy to any other system, we could actually build, it has at least 10 advantages. Democracy has at least 10 advantages. Number one, what is the first advantage? Yes, yes. Democracy helps to prevent government by cruel and vicious autocrats. Autocrats. The biggest problem in all of politics is trying to avoid rule by an autocrat. Yes, autocrat is a cruel leader. You know cruelty? Cruel? An autocrat is a cruel leader with total power. With total power. He or she can do anything to anyone, anytime. Okay? He can harm people without any limit. Autocrat. An autocrat is a cruel leader with total power. Throughout all of history, this has been a huge issue. This has been a huge issue in history. Even today, it is a huge issue. Still there are autocrats. Some leaders are driven by things like massive ego. Massive ego. You know, what is it called in Urdu? Ego. Yes. Some leaders are driven by things like massive ego, megalomania. Megalomania. Me, it's me. My decision, my order, my authority, my power. This is called megalomania, massive ego. Others are scared and suspicious of everyone. Some autocrats, some autocrats are scared and suspicious of everyone. They think everyone is planning against them. It is called paranoia. It is called paranoia. So some of the autocrats are have megalomania, and some other autocrats they are paranoia. They have paranoia. They are paranoid. Some autocrats just care about their own money and their own power. They accumulate power and they accumulate money, autocrats. Others are led by very strong, sometimes dangerous beliefs. Some autocrats, they have very strong beliefs which are very dangerous. Okay? These leaders use the country's power to get what they want. These autocrats, they use the country's power to get what they want. And the country's power includes force. You know, the country, every country has force, and it can use violence. You know, police can use violence, army can use violence. All the law enforcement agencies, they have power of force and violence. All states have the power of force and violence. The terrible cost of this kind of absolute rule is huge. The terrible cost of this kind of absolute rule is huge. Last time, some students had problem with the slides. Some of the lines were mixed. Yes, even today to have you have. So remind me at the end of the class. Remind me. We will discuss this issue. Okay. The terrible cost of this kind of absolute rule is huge. This terrible cost, this autocratic rule causes as much suffering as widespread hunger and war or diseases, widespread diseases. Joseph Stalin. Who knows Joseph Stalin? Do you know Joseph Stalin? Who was Joseph Stalin? It was a Soviet leader. He was a Soviet leader, Soviet Union. Soviet Union. It was the superpower. So Joseph Stalin was one of the autocrats. Another was Lenin. Stalin ruled the Soviet Union from 1929 to 1953. 1929 to 1953. How many years? 24 years. He jailed millions of people because he was terribly paranoid. He was paranoid. He believed many people are planning against him. Many Russians, many Soviets, they are planning against his rule, against his government. So he put them in jail. Anybody he thought maybe planning against me, my government, see, he put them into jail. He feared that everyone was plotting against him. Everyone was plotting against him. About 20 million people died under his rule. 20 million. Okay? 20 million. How much is 1 million? 10 lakhs. So 2 crores. 2 crore people died under Stalin's rule. They died from executions. You know execution? What is the Urdu meaning of execution? Yes. So executions. They died from executions, forced labor camps, or a severe famine. Forced labor camps. People are forced to do labor, and their rights were not taken care of. So many people died this way, and there were famines under his rule because of his uh, uh, way of way of government, the style of government. The famine, you know famine? Famine, when there is no food available, it is called famine. When food is not available, it is called famine. The famine happened because he made farmers work on state run farms. He forced the farmers to work on state run farms. Adolf Hitler led Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1945. I think everyone knows Hitler. Yes, he is a famous figure, famous name in our society. So Adolf Hitler led Nazi Germany from 1933 to 1945, 12 years. He killed countless opponents, countless, which cannot be counted. He killed countless opponents, Poles. You know Poles? People who live in Poland. People who live in Poland, Poles, and other groups. So Hitler killed countless opponents. Hitler killed Poles, people of Poland, and he also killed other groups he wanted to wipe out completely. He is well known for killing Jews, you know. He was fond of killing Jews. Pol Pot. Who was Pol Pot? Pol Pot ruled Cambodia with his group, the Khmer Rouge. Khmer Rouge was his party. Pol Pot was its leader. So he became the ruler of Cambodia, and he ruled it from 1975 to 1979 for 4 years. This party, Pol Pot's party, killed 1/4 of the entire Cambodian population. 1/4. What percent becomes it? 25%. 25% people were killed in 4 years under Pol Pot's rule in Cambodia. Autocrat, dictator. This was a huge self-inflicted tragedy. It was a huge tragedy, and it was a self-inflicted. Self-inflicted means it was not natural. It was not due to earthquakes or floods. Men were killing men. Men were killing men. Pol Pot was extremely scared of educated people. He was scared. He did not like educated people. Almost all educated people were killed in Cambodia. You could be executed just for wearing glasses. Pol Pot's government could kill any Cambodian if he or she wore glasses, just for this act, simple act. Or having hands that were not rough from working. So he liked working people who worked hard, laborers. So, laborers, their hands are rough due to hard work. So if your hands were not rough, you could be killed under his rule. We must be honest. Robert Dahl says, we must be honest. The history of popular rule is not perfect. Okay, the autocrats, the undemocratic rulers, they can be very harsh, they can be very callous, they can be very cruel. But at the same time, popular rule, the democratic rule, it is not perfect. Robert Dahl says we need to be honest. It is not perfect. It also has problems. Like all governments, democratic governments have sometimes been cruel. Democratic governments have sometimes been cruel or unfair. They have done injustices, they have done unfair things. This usually happens toward people outside their country. Usually, the democratic governments, they did injustice or unfair things to foreigners, to people in other countries. We are talking about people like foreigners or people in colonies. You know, British, the British, they ruled India, the subcontinent, and they did many cruel things here. You know, Jallianwala Bagh, Jallianwala Bagh. What happened there? What happened at Jallianwala Bagh? General Dyer opened fire and killed hundreds of people who were protesting against the British rule, who were protesting against the British rule. So he killed the Indians, hundreds of them. So these types of things. So although the British government was democratic government, the British government was a democratic government, popular government, but it did unfair things to foreigners, to colonies. At home, they were good. For the British, their government was good. Democratic countries have behaved no worse than non-democratic ones. But at the same time, although the democratic governments have done bad things, but they have not done worse than autocrats. Autocrats, the undemocratic governments, were even worse to even to the foreigners, toward outsiders, and often better sometimes, and often the democratic governments were their attitude and their treatment of foreigners was better than the autocratic governments. Getting the point? In some places, the colonial power actually helped create democratic ideas. In some places, the colonial power actually helped create democratic ideas. Still, we should not excuse the unfair things democratic countries have done to outsiders. So, but at the same time, we acknowledge that the democratic governments have done wrong things. When they do this, they go against the basic moral idea. When the democratic governments do these wrong things, they violate one democratic principle. This is the same moral idea that helps us say why all citizens should be equal. So they violate the principle of political equality. The only way to fix this problem might be a universal code of human rights for the whole world. So now we have a universal declaration of human rights. Do you know? There is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It is prepared by the United Nations, I think. It is a good document. I will share it with you, and maybe we study it in our class as well. It is a very good document. If you remind me at the end of the class, I will share. I have it on my WhatsApp. I can share this document with you today at the end of this lecture. Yes, yes, Jaros? Huh? Yes, when we complete this. Yes. Okay. The only way to fix this problem might be a universal code of human rights for the whole world. These rights would have to be strongly enforced everywhere. This is a huge problem. It's a big challenge. A much bigger challenge for democracy is the unfair things it does to some people inside the country. So it is clear that some of the democratic governments, they have done wrong things to foreigners, but sometimes they have also done wrong things to their own citizens, to insiders inside their countries. These are people who must obey the laws. So the citizens, they are supposed to obey the government's laws. But they are not allowed to help make those laws. These citizens, They have to obey the laws, but they do not have part in making those laws. Those laws are not made uh, as they want, as the citizens want. They are ruled by the government, but they cannot rule themselves. These citizens, they are ruled, but they cannot rule themselves. Luckily, the answer to this is clear. The answer to this problem is clear, even if it's hard to do. What is the solution? To give democratic rights to all of these groups that are left out. The solution is to give democratic rights to all of the citizens which still do not have these rights. This solution was actually used a lot in the 1800s and early 1900s. For example, in Pakistan, can you identify a community which has to obey the laws, but they are not consulted when laws are made? Transgenders in Pakistan. You know transgenders? There are thousands of transgenders in Pakistan, hundreds of thousands. So, do you think they have equal rights? They don't have equal rights. So, it is the whose responsibility is this? It is the responsibility of the state and society. In fact, we also have a responsibility as the citizens, as the society. We also have a responsibility. For example, when a transgender is born, his or her parents do not accept the baby. So this is the first injustice. This is the first injustice, unfair thing. Was the baby, it is their baby, infant, okay? They should accept it, accept him or her. They should accept him or her as a member, family member, as their child. And they should nourish the baby. They should bring the baby up to educate him. But they do not accept it. And either they throw the baby away or hand it over to other transgenders. They take the baby away, and then the life cycle starts, which is very miserable. That life cycle is very miserable. They don't have rights. And first injustice is done by the family, by the parents, family members. Second injustice, we, society, we also do injustice. How? How? We mock them. We laugh at them, you know. Society laughs at transgenders as if they are not humans, as if they don't have feelings. We don't care about their feelings, about their sensitivities. We don't care as society, we don't care about their rights. Is it right? Do you agree? So we also do injustice to this community. So it is also undemocratic. It is also undemocratic. So they are not, then, if they go to school for education, the teachers don't accept. Do you know this? There are examples I have heard. The teacher said, okay, there will be problem in our school, the people will laugh at us and the students will tease him or her like that. So there will be issues for me as a teacher. I cannot accept the baby in the class. It is another injustice. And then until recent past, they did not have the right to have the identity cards. They could not have documents. They could not have birth certificates. They could not have bank accounts. They cannot run businesses. You just imagine if a transgender opens a shop, what will be our attitude toward the shopkeeper? We will mock him or her. We may not go to him or her for shopping because the person is transgender. Is it fair? Is it just? No, it is not fair. It is not just. So the state is responsible. The society is also responsible for such things. Similarly, there are many other communities like street children, children who beg, like that. So we need to ensure their rights. Some of these rights are ensured by the society, and some other rights are ensured by the state. So, as citizens, as fellow citizens, if we start respecting the transgenders, it will help them to have a better life. It will help them to have a better life. If we do not mock them, if we do not laugh at them, we treat them as equal humans, fellow humans. Okay, so they will feel respected, and they will be accepted in the classroom, and no, this fan they will make such much noise, and my throat is already under a burden. So please tolerate. Please. Yes, it is bearable. I know it is hard, but it is bearable. It is 20 October today. 20th October. Okay, it is not June or July. September gone, October is almost gone. It is 20th September, October today. Okay, so Robert Dahl says this solution, this solution was actually used a lot in the 1800s and early 1900s. Many communities they were provided rights in different states. During that time, the rules about who could vote were removed. There were rules about who could vote. It simply meant that some people could not vote. When the rules were removed, all adults could vote. Single rule. Eventually, universal adult suffrage. Adult suffrage. Suffrage means the right to vote. The right to vote. Suffrage means the right to vote. Franchise also means the right to vote. Universal franchise or universal suffrage means when all adults have the right to vote. Universal adult suffrage became the standard. This means all adults can vote. You might ask, here a question arises. Can a democratic government still hurt a small group of citizens? Are there chances that a democratic government will hurt a small group of citizens, a community? These citizens have the right to vote, but they are simply outvoted by the bigger group, the majority. Yes, still there is a chance because democracy is the majority rule. It is the majority rule. So sometimes the majority does injustices to the minority because they are in minority. Their votes are less. Their votes are less. So they are in minority, and sometimes it does happen that the majority does unfair things to the minority. Isn't this exactly what people mean by the tyranny of the majority? It is called the tyranny of the majority. It's a good example in our society, maybe when we lynch a Christian in the name of blasphemy or anything else. Okay? Christians in our society, they are in minority. We are in majority, the Muslims. And sometimes the Christians, there are very many reports, news reports, media reports. Sometimes the Christian did not commit blasphemy, but the Muslims lynched, killed a Christian. It has happened in our society, you know. So it is called tyranny of the majority. Tyranny of the majority. Almost every single law or government action causes some people some harm. And let me also tell you, even if a person commits blasphemy, citizens do not have the right to lynch or kill him or her. It is illegal. The citizens have the right to file a case. The citizens have a right to contact the police or contact the judiciary to punish the culprit. Citizens do not have the right to kill the blasphemer. Do you know this? It is illegal that citizens take the law in hand and they start beating someone and kill. It is illegal. It is also a crime. Only the state authorities, the state institutions have the right to punish the person. Almost every single law or government action causes some people some harm. So whenever a government makes a law, if it may favor some citizens and it may disfavor some citizens. This is true no matter who makes the law. No matter who makes the law, some people will not be happy on that law. Some will be happy and some will not be happy. For example, the people who violate the rights of the domestic workers, children at work at homes as servants, ladies work at homes as servants, and the owners, the lords, the landlords, they violate their laws, they beat them. I myself have seen someone beating a child, servant child at home. So if a law is made that these owners, these landlords, they cannot beat the children, the servants, will they be happy on this law? No. The children who are beaten, they will be happy. But those who beat, they will not be happy. So whenever laws are made, some people are not happy on those laws. It happens if the law is passed by a democratic majority. Even when a democratic majority makes laws, it happens. Some people do not agree with the laws. It happens if the law is passed by a rich, small group, oligarchic minority. It even happens if the law is passed by a kind dictator, benign dictator. The real point is not whether a government can make laws that never hurt anyone. No government in history, not even a democratic one, can promise that. No government can promise that all the laws will be acceptable to all. Democracies are much, much less cruel than non-democratic countries. But it is clear that democratic governments, they are less cruel. They may be cruel, but they are less cruel than dictators, than undemocratic rulers. But just because of that, we cannot relax and think everything is great. We cannot be complacent. We can't say it's okay to commit a small injustice. We cannot say it's okay to commit a small injustice because others commit big injustices. Because others commit bigger ones. Even when a democratic country follows all the right rules, if it acts unfairly, it is still an injustice. So an injustice is injustice even if it is done by a democratic government. Just having power does not automatically make the majority right. Majority might. Having the power, majority might. Does not automatically make the majority right. The majority can be wrong. Number 2. What time is it? 10:47. So we discuss the second point and then we close. Democracy guarantees its citizens a number of fundamental rights that non-democratic systems do not and cannot grant. Democracy is much more than just a process of ruling. Democracy is much more than a process of ruling. Rights are a necessary part of how democratic governments work. Rights. Because of this, democracy is actually a system of rights. A system of rights. So that is why we will study rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, in the coming classes, maybe after the midterm. Think about the basic rules of democracy. It is obvious that citizens need certain rights to meet these rules. Take the rule of active participation. This means people must have a right to participate. They need a right to share their views on political matters. They need to hear what other people are saying. They must be able to discuss things with fellow citizens. Now, think about the rule of voting equality. This means citizens must have the right to vote. Their votes must also be counted in a fair way. The other rules of democracy work the same way. Citizens need a right to look at different options. To look at different options. They need a right to help decide what topics the government should work on this agenda. If any political system actually does all those things, it automatically becomes a democracy. All those things means gives the right to participate, vote, etc. This is more than just a small technical detail. If those rights are not given to the people, the system is not truly democratic. This is true no matter what the leaders say. Any claim to democracy without these rights is just a facade, a fake, something fake, which is not real. It is simply a fake front for a non democratic government. Imagine that in a non democratic country, citizens somehow gain all the rights needed for democracy. This means those rights become a real practical reality. If that happens, the country has officially become a democracy. If a country is not democratic, but the non-democratic government has provided all the rights, then actually it has become a democracy. This change happened many times during the second half of the 1900s. Rights like free speech are needed for democracy to exist. It is necessary condition, not just in words, but in the real world. Several conditions make democracy lost. One of these conditions is having widespread democratic beliefs. Widespread democratic beliefs. If citizens believe in democratic norms and democratic values, it is necessary. This includes a belief in all the rights and opportunities democracy must provide. Fortunately, the need for these key rights is not a huge secret. It's not a secret. It is very obvious. It is clear that democratic beliefs are needed. When Thomas Jefferson was elected president in 1800, he quickly ended the Bad Alien and Sedition Acts. These acts, put in place by John Adams, would have crushed free political speech. These laws would have crushed the free political speech in America. Jefferson did this because of his own beliefs. Jefferson finished these laws because of his own beliefs, but also because most ordinary citizens agreed with him. When many citizens stop understanding that democracy needs these basic rights, the democracy is in danger. If they stop supporting the groups that protect those rights, like courts, the country is at risk. The democracy is at risk. Fortunately, this danger is a little smaller because of the third big benefit of democratic systems. Okay, so next class we will start at slide 130. So here we stop, conclude.